In Palestine, the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees registered 88 of its workers killed in the ongoing Israeli bombardments of Gaza. In Venezuela, thousands mobilized under the slogan Venezuela Toda as the national campaign in defense of the Essequibo begins. And in China, Cuban Prime Minister Manuel Marrero met with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from TeleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Monday, the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees registered 88 of its workers killed in the ongoing Israeli bombardments of Gaza, a figure never seen in the 75-year history of the organization. Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs Martin Griffiths, WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, and Executive Director of the United Nations Children's Fund Catherine Russell expressed profound rejection and pain for social loss in a month of Zionist onslaught against the Strip. They reiterate the urgency of ordering an immediate ceasefire, freeing the hostages, and guaranteeing the lives of civilians and humanitarian workers. We continue with our news in Palestine because doctors denounce the seriousness of the injuries caused by the white phosphorus bombs dropped in Gaza. Ghassan Abu Sita, a surgeon who worked for the NGO Doctors Without Borders, said that the burns of the victims who were in the missile blast radius are the product of white phosphorus. He explained that they are not thermal burns, but chemical burns, which have a different and more serious injury pattern. Abu Sita also referred to the situation of the hospitals in Gaza, reporting that 16 have been hit in the last few days, representing 40% of all those located in the Strip. In Palestine, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Expatriate has expressed condemnation over statements made by Israeli Patrimony Minister Amichai Eliyahu, asking for an atomic bomb to be dropped on Gaza. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry described these comments as a clear indication of campaigns stirred by Israeli officials to destroy Gaza and displace its residents. Palestinian Authority spokesman in Gaza, Salama Maruf, called on the International Criminal Court to include Eliyahu's request as proof that Israel acknowledges it is committing crimes against humanity and has been waging a genocidal war against the Gaza Strip. He also urged for pragmatic and real efforts on the part of the International Court in the face of the massacres of thousands of Palestinians and demanded that Israel comply with international law, human rights principles, and the protection of civilians. In an official statement, Venezuela strongly condemns and is deeply shocked by the remarks made by the Israeli Patrimony Minister of carrying nuclear attack against the vulnerable people of Gaza Strip, threatening all of humanity. The Venezuelan Foreign Ministry added that the Israeli minister's statements are a serious transgression of all international agreements. Venezuela calls on the United Nations to condemn the state of Israel and demands the immediate establishment of an international tribunal to judge Israel's war crimes. U.S. illegal bases in Iraq and Syria have been bombarded again on Monday. Iraqi resistance responded to the U.S. and Israeli onslaught with drones against the illegal airbase of Erbil, northern region of Kurdistan, Iraq. Over 2 illegal bases were attacked in the territory that of Al-Anbar province in the western Iraq and the base located in Baghdad, the capital. Attacks occurred hours later Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit. A fourth attack was confirmed in the illegal base of Al-Tanf in southern Syria, nearby borders of Iraq and Jordan. All attacks have been responded as solidarity acts with Palestinian cause. On Sunday, hundreds of thousands of protesters marched through Jakarta, the Indonesian capital, calling for an end to Israeli bombardment on the Gaza Strip. Demonstrators waved Indonesian and Palestinian flags and chanted slogans denouncing Israel's actions in Gaza as they filled the National Monument Park in central Jakarta. Several cabinet ministers and politicians attended the rally organized by the Indonesian Ulema Council, which is the country's most influential Islamic institution. Indonesia has long been a strong supporter of the Palestinians and has no diplomatic ties with Israel. And also in the United Kingdom, social movements held protests in support of the Palestinian cause. The rallies were held in the main towns of the UK on Sunday to reject the ongoing Israeli siege against the Gaza Strip. One of the main demonstrations took place in the southeast of the country in the city of Brighton. Those attending the rally marched in support of the freedom of the Palestinian people in the face of the Israeli occupation. Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. Under the slogan Venezuela Toda, thousands will mobilize throughout the country this Monday as the national campaign in defense of the Essequibo begins. The crusade will end on Friday, December 1st, 2 days before the beginning of the voting in the consultative referendum for the Guyana Essequibo, which will take place on December 3rd. More than 20,600,000 voters are summoned for the historical date. During this weekend, campaign commands were created in the different territories of the South American nation so that all Venezuelans may know the 5 questions and all the details related to the popular consultation. On Monday, Cuban Prime Minister Manuel Marrero met with the Chinese President Xi Jinping. The premier has been touring the Asian nation since November 2nd, his first since he was appointed Prime Minister. In Shanghai, where he made his first stop, he held a meeting with his counterpart Li Qian, where he highlighted the solid ties of friendship between the two countries. Li called for increased cooperation in different fields, emphasizing new energies and biomedicine. The Cuban leader also held a meeting with the head of the National People's Assembly, Zhao Leji, stressing the importance of the relations between the legislative organs. The Panamanian government announced that classes will start this week. However, the teachers' unions ratified that they will continue on strike. The crisis in the education sector began last October 23rd, when teachers announced gradual strikes due to the approval in the National Assembly of a concession law between the state and a Canadian mining company that grants foreigners full rights over the largest mine in Central America. For security reasons, the Ministry of Education suspended lessons and on Sunday has made a call for a return to the classroom, which teachers do not intend to comply with, as they claim that the situation has even worsened. In Honduras, over 42,000 people have been affected by the heavy rains that have been hitting the nation since last Monday. According to an official report, 2 people have died, 2 are missing, and there are over 42,000 people that have been affected one way or another. Moreover, several communities in the north have been cut off. Therefore, the authorities have implemented an evacuation plan for the areas at risk to transfer the inhabitants to shelters. Meanwhile, the Honduran Risk and Emergency Management Department says it will continue to monitor the situation and urge the people to follow their announcements. In Italy, recent extreme weather events north of the country have caused over 6 billion euros in losses in agriculture. The Italian Farmers Confederation stated in a report that in the first 3 days of November, at least 73 extreme phenomena affected 70% of the northern region. Meanwhile, the European database on adverse weather conditions said that heat waves, torrential rains, and strong winds, other than causing death and infrastructural damage, also caused serious damage to crops. Numerous businesses were cut off by landslides, warehouses were submerged by underwater, and thousands of hundredweights of wheat, seeds, and fertilizers were lost. The relatives of the victims of last Friday's earthquake in Nepal prepared funerals to bid farewell to their loved ones. The survivors are in charge of emergency funeral services, placing the bodies on wooden pyres for incineration to avoid a sanitary collapse due to the decomposition of the bodies. After the destruction of their homes, thousands of victims remain in the open and without access to food, water, basic services in several departments of the region that were cut off by landslides. As a result, many roads and other access routes are blocked, making it difficult for humanitarian aid to reach the affected communities. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at TeleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. A final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In Italy, a fishing boat arrived off the coast of the island of Lampedusa carrying more than 500 migrants. The boat, located by the Coast Guard, was carrying a total of 531 migrants, mostly from Syria, Egypt, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. They declared that they had to pay between $4,000 and $7,000 to make the trip, which set sail from Suara in Libya. With this, there are now 4 fishing boats with migrants arriving in Italy in the last 2 weeks. Approximately 2,000 migrants have died between January and September 2023, crossing the Mediterranean Sea, according to the International Organization for Migration. In Germany, authorities closed the airport in the northern city of Hamburg to passengers, and flights were cancelled Saturday night. The move came after a vehicle broke through security and entered the premises. Federal police said an armed man fired twice into the air with a weapon. Police also said the man's wife had previously contacted them about a possible child abduction. Authorities later added that the 35-year-old man had a 4-year-old child inside the car and that they assumed he was the father and had taken the child by force from the mother in a possible custody battle. There was no indication that other people could be harmed since all passengers had been evacuated the airport. The Southern African Development Community, SADC, announced a strategic deployment of peacekeeping mission to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The president of the regional bloc, Joao Lourenço, explained that the organization will lead the mobilization of resources to facilitate peace and security in the region. This decision is due to the social instability suffered by the Congolese people as a result of the actions of irregular groups that threaten the population. Those who like dressing well and trying on either traditional or stylish clothes, the following story suits their book, which is the last one of the first season of Cuba on the Move. Let's meet the king of Guayaberas.
This November, San Cristobal of Havana Village celebrates its 504th anniversary. Hanes' prestigious designer Jordi Leal will present two of his latest collections to commemorate such date. Leal exclusively showed TeleSUR his series My Havana and Cuba Beautiful Island with fashion models.
A slight representation of my last three collections, one entitled My Havana, which are guayaberas illustrated with motifs identifying the capital. We further showcase a representation of Cuba, Beautiful Island, made of guayaberas pictured with motifs distinguishing each province, and we display guayaberas of the Americas proposal. Many people wonder, why did I name them guayaberas of the Americas, if garments are Cuban? And why is so? I think guayabera garments are definitely Cuban, but somehow they started to be Latin American too, as their use has been spread across the region, including the United States.
Leal, alias the King of Guayaberas, assures dressing on such clothes is like wearing Cuba. However, he recognizes that despite guayaberas are national garments, yet Cuban youngsters don't defend them as they should.
We have been losing ground in Cuba. Fortunately, Mexico and Panama defend so much the use of guayaberas. Currently, sometimes people associate them with those countries' culture because of the types of embroidery and weaving. Hence, I think we have been losing ground, but we are still on time to recovery.
That's why Leal is determined to modernize guayaberas, keeping their essence.
We modernize guayaberas, but respecting their significant elements. Let's say we keep the same rows and saddlebags, the upper, lower, front and back yoke, which is where the rows of saddlebags start and end. Let's say we keep the same pockets sometimes, but this one I am wearing has no pockets. Anyway, who says it isn't a guayabera? We changed the idea that guayaberas just ought to have classic color. We designed them with a Chinese color like this one, and it looks very pretty, very attractive. In this case of designs for women, even with necklines, at the beginning, I remember, many designers told me, how did you dare design a guayabera with a neckline in the front, in the back, with flared sleeves? Where did you see that? Well, those are just the most popular designs.
For over 10 years, Leal has been directing a modeling academy with comprehensive preparation for children, adolescents, and youngsters. Now he is working on the Guayaberas G. Leal project, which is in transition to a medium-sized company with a future international scope. And he's writing a book entitled Son of Cuba as well. But so far, what obsesses him is a house Guayabera museum in Havana, Cuba.
Coming up soon, the Guayabera Museum will be open here in Havana to exhibit designs made to several personalities, as visitors enjoy such collection. In addition, attendees will see original guayaberas illustrated by prominent visual artists. Many people think they are replicas, but no. So this fact adds an additional value to each guayabera.
Jordi Leal has been defending the use of guayaberas for 10 years. The first of these garments he designed was for his daughter's mother when she was pregnant. Then he made one for his baby, which he says caused a sensation. Now, he has over 30 collections with the most ingenious design. Today, his guayaberas are worn by diplomats, officials, presidents, sport glorious, artists, and painters. But his wish is that they are worn by everyone in Cuba.
Almost all guayaberas of these new ambassadors who are being accredited here in Cuba are designed by me. Right now, at the 77th Plus China Summit, which was held here, many presidents, ministers, deputy ministers, in all modesty, when they speak about guayaberas, immediately they think of Jordi Leal. Guayaberas for me are something I can no longer live without them. I can't conceive my life without designing, without working on guayaberas.
So far, the King of Guayabera says his wish is that Cubans acquire a bigger culture of dressing well, and that on Cuban street, the national garment is seen more often with pride, style, and distinction.
Fabiola López, TeleSUR, La Habana.
Now we have come to the end of this news brief. Before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscast and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.